Welcome to this week's Tech Show, where we've got, well, all the lessons we've learned from dabbling with AliExpress, we've got glow-in-the-dark bikes, and we've got a new tool from Ceramic Speed that's splitting opinions. Our AliExpress bike video build last week caused quite a stir, so we thought we'd take the opportunity to reply to some of your comments directly. Since the bike build video went live, the bike has now been ridden by the Stag at Bike Park Wales to see how it'd hold up. And we've had also an opportunity to see how it's handled its first taste of, well, proper off-road life. Okay. First up, let's go back to some of the questions that we got on the build. So one of the first questions we got was, two very important ones. These are from AC1D Flared 937. And he asks, does the price include shipping costs? Does it include import duties? And it is a great question because if you're ordering overseas, these are going to impact the price that you pay. So most of the products that we ordered included free shipping, although we did have to pay shipping on the frame, and that came to just under £90. So that brought the total of the frame cost up to £353. And speaking of ordering the frame, this is another issue that we had from AliExpress, and maybe you have too. Let us know in the comments. We ordered the frame quite some time ago, but our order, well, it kept getting cancelled at random and with no notice. So in the end, it took 3 attempts to order it, and it took about 2.5 to 3 months for it to arrive. Right, back to the question on duty. In short, it's complicated. We're based in the UK, and the amount of import duty you should pay and who should pay it changes at certain price thresholds. So below that threshold, AliExpress collects the tax when you order, and then above the threshold, it's collected in a different way, and that varies depending on the way your order is shipped. So some sellers will include any of those import taxes into the prices, and then others will pay it on your behalf, and then others will just pass it on to you, the consumer. As far as it went with all of our orders, we haven't received any unexpected bills beyond what we paid at the time of ordering. But it is something with, well, all overseas orders, especially with AliExpress, that you've got to be mindful of, and mindful of your sort of local import laws. Okay, a question here from Just MTB and Gaming 4518. He saw on the assembly video that there were some issues with the rear suspension and the cassette. And were they sorted, and how? It would be good to know. Yeah, really valid questions. Okay, the shock took quite a bit of fettling to work. Essentially, when I tried to fit it, well, it didn't fit. The shock hardware to mount it, well, didn't come. And then we had to do a bit of filing and grinding of, well, hardware that we'd got and make sure that there was just enough clearance. It was really tight. And that's because we'd got a workshop and we'd got the tools to make it happen. So it wasn't a simple plug-and-play setup. And I guess theoretically, this can happen with lots of kind of like name brand builds as well. But it is quite rare because typically you'll be able to find out what shock spec you're going to get, what shock hardware you'll need in advance. So you'll be able to buy it. You'll get everything all together. Okay, the alignment issues with the frame, that isn't something I've seen with big name brands before at all. And it just made the build process that much more involved. So I think for me, it leans into this thing of if you're a confident mechanic, there's probably nothing that you wouldn't be able to do. But if you're not a confident mechanic, it can get you into a spot of bother. So it is an issue. Okay, in regards to the cassette, this was just completely our fault. We ordered the HG spline cassette, so that's kind of like the classic Shimano style one. But the rear hub that we'd ordered was actually microspline. Yeah, we did see quite a few comments saying that it was intentional on us to spread propaganda about bad things happening. That wasn't the case. We just messed up the order. So sorry about that. And the sort of, on that, the fix of that was just us getting a standard microspline cassette. So I guess that does sort of lead into a point of just make sure that you're checking the specs on things and that you are ordering all the same parts because, sort of like HG versus microspline, it is easy to miss, and we did. Hands up, missed it. Okay, Banana Mojo 78. Some people need to stop looking down on budget builds. You don't need to spend £8,000 on a good bike, and you need to stop making out like everything is built in the UK and that Chinese manufacturing is subpar or substandard. There's quite a few points with this one, I guess. And we fully agree with you. You don't need an £8,000 bike. I mean, I did a video that went out on the weekend talking about the beginner kit that you probably need when you're first experiencing mountain biking. And we've done lots of videos celebrating entry-level bikes because we know that not everybody has got, endless money to invest in a bike. I mean, high-end bikes are really nice, and those kind of changes to product spec that you get by investing more, as you ride more, you can feel the difference, and they are nicer. But we don't have any issues with entry-level bikes. They can be fantastic, and it is that first taste of mountain biking, which is amazing for all. Also, right, it's a big topic. I've covered it very lightly when I did an AliExpress brake build. It was on GMBN. But yeah, we have no issues with products that are made in China or anywhere in the world for that matter, because, well, China or the US, there's lots of really high-end manufacturing that goes on. And kind of China, Taiwan, they all have some of the best most advanced cycling-related production in the world. So yeah, no beef with products from there at all. Okay, another question. This is about warranties. And sort of like the question is, warranties. These are based on what I'm seeing on new bikes. We have this double standard. Big brand will say that it's okay to buy ours because we've got a warranty and we'll get a replacement. And then the safety aspect never seems to come up yet. With these bikes, we're concerned with safety. I think what this is saying is we're talking about how if you're buying a bike from a big brand, it will have a warranty and it will have a sort of like some backup. And if you're buying from AliExpress or through other sort of vendors, you don't have that warranty. And I think this one is an interesting one. And I think it's something I've chatted to lots of big brands about and lots of small brands. And warranty is, yes, it's about supporting riders and making sure that you're still able to ride a bike if something goes wrong. But I think the real big thing behind why warranty is really important, and we should sort of look at them as a useful guide, is that lots of bike brands don't want you to use a warranty. They don't want to have you to have the hassle of going to a bike shop. They don't want you to have the hassle of going through a warranty process. So thus they test their bikes a lot, which means that hopefully it never happens. But the warranty is there as just a sort of backup if something does go wrong. But in general, it means that these bigger brands, known name brands, if you like, are trying to put out products that, they don't have any design weaknesses or flaws where things might go wrong. Whereas if you don't have that warranty, you don't have that support, and you're not necessarily saying that you're testing stuff, well, yeah, you don't know if it passes. A good example would be the Canyon Strive, which we feature in the GMBN AliExpress bike video. Canyon actually published the EN standards that bike is certified to. Obviously, with the best will in the world, there can always be some random issues with material and manufacturing that could, lead to a kind of like product not functioning as you want. And that's why the warranty is there. It's a backup. And I think most of these big brands do their homework, ensuring that they've got a really solid product. And it's possible that some of the brands that are selling through AliExpress have done so too. But there isn't the documentation, there isn't the information. So it's just buyer beware. Here's a question just about the fork. The fork doesn't work. It's got the slowest rebound ever, if we can call this rebound. Username from Hal says, well, you should have just adjusted the fork. It's got an adjuster. I need to touch on this because when we went to Bike Park Wales, we did adjust the fork to suit the rider, but the adjuster didn't really adjust that much. And we wanted to give this bike a real fighting chance. So we spent time setting the suspension up as best we could. But as with a lot of this really entry-level suspension, a lot of those savings come from cutting back on the dampers. And, well, I think, yeah, we've done videos in the past where we've done kind of strip downs, and lots of the parts that you would imagine are in the fork aren't in some of these very, very low price products. But yeah, I guess the main thing is that the usable range of adjustments wasn't that huge on this fork. So that's why the fork functioned the way it was. Okay, question here from Adam Pilot 6265. Please compare this bike to another stock factory build that costs $1,000 to see the difference. Yeah, we can do. I mean, the benchmark for £1,000 suspension bikes, similar to this bike behind me, has got to be the Caliber Boss Nut. 2025, they've kind of relaunched the bike. It offers really good value for money. It's got a lot of the features that we've got on the AliExpress bike, but it arrives fully assembled. It arrives with all the support from a retailer and would hopefully, arrive when you order it. So, yeah, that's an option. Lots of other people commented about the Polygon bikes, which are sold in the UK by the same retailer as those that sell the Boss Nut Caliber, so there are similarities. And yeah, they've got a really interesting range, starting from £1,000 up to about 2,000. So there's entry-level full suspensions out there that seem to offer good value. But I think what's, for me, is a kind of standout is actually looking at hardtails. You can get Canyon Stoic or Bayer Laufey that hit a similar price point, and that the cost saving that you sort of make, because the price is about the same, but you're not getting rear suspension, means that you're getting a much high quality frame, you're getting a better spec list, and longer term, if you're kind of newer to riding, that means you're not going to have to service that rear suspension. You've not got rear pivots to have to service as well. So you're just going to ride more, and the components will most likely last longer too. So yeah, that's another interesting bike to look at. Okay, interesting comment here. We had lots of these. This is talking about the wake bars. Please switch them out before someone gets hurt. Yeah, lots of people did message us about these wake bars that sort of saying that, yeah, they might be okay for city, they might be okay for XC, but don't do any DH. Yeah, we got really lucky on this. I say we, the Stag got lucky with those bars because, yeah, we will probably try and switch those out. And I guess that's the thing. You don't know with a lot of these products how they fare, whereas with sort of brand names, there is more, well, there's that warranty, there's that safety check. In general, the bike has fared fairly well. It's got an issue with the cable on the rear dropper, so we've got to sort that out. Maybe it's the clamp. So, yeah, I don't think it's unique to this dropper. Also, the piston reservoir cover on one of the brake levers fell off or popped out, which, yeah, isn't ideal as spares are, well, I just don't think they're available. And it's not a great thing, really. The part of the brake that you really want to last has just sort of like fallen apart, which doesn't really give you a lot of confidence, the rest of it. The frame didn't come with any chainstay protection. So yeah, the paint is chipped a lot, where you might imagine it on the chainstay, but it's chipped in a lot of other places too. So I don't think it's the toughest of paint. And yeah, finally, the suspension was not the best out there. And it would be great to just be able to strip down the suspension and see what's going on. I think the first upgrade will probably be the tyres to something a bit grippier and with a better carcass, so we can actually ride it with a bit more aggression. So that'll be our first point of call. And then in terms of overall longevity, well, we're just going to keep riding it, see what happens. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on this bike. Have you been tempted to do a similar AliExpress build? Let us know. Join the debate in the comments below. News! First up in this week's news, we've got a new parts brand called Cast. They've released a whole new range of products. Whilst they might be a new name, the brand is packed by a lot of big names from across the mountain bike industry and, well, mountain bike race world. So we've got Greg Minnaar, we've got Greg Callahan, we've got Danny McCaskill, Fabio Vidmar and Gracie Hemstreet and, well, lots more. Their first product lineup includes a pair of stems, handlebars in 28, 35mm and 38mm rises, as well as 31.8 and 35mm clamp sizes. Some signature Greg Minnaar grips, and really interesting. I mean, it's almost a niche product, but a 24-inch street trials tyre designed by Danny and Fabio. There are lots and lots of specs and lots of prices, so probably best to head to their website to see the full product range. Okay, British brand Cotic have recently released their updated beefy, or burly iron, hardcore hardtail. It's a steel-tubed, hard-charging bike built around a 130 to 160 fork. And the updated model gets the longer, lower, slacker treatment. It's also available in an interesting new finish. Whilst it might look like a plain white frame, when the sun goes down, it reveals its party trick. That's right, it's a glow-in-the-dark bike. I know, glow-in-the-dark. What fun. There are plenty of other interesting details on the frame too, such as double-decker dropouts that allow you to switch from 27.5 650B to 29 rear wheel while preserving the frame's geometry. It's a clever little feature. Frame-only pricing starts from £699 or $720 or €670, with full custom builds available through the Cotic website as well. Whilst we're talking about hardtails, while we're talking about glow-in-the-dark ones, we've gone from bright ones to light ones. We've got the new Canfield Tie Nimble 9. Originally, Nimble 9 was a hardtail. It was released 14 years ago, and it's achieved, well, like a cult status among hardtail aficionados. Canfield says they've received a lot of requests for a titanium version of the bike and decided to, well, kick that off in 2025. So it's limited to just 100 frames. The Tie Nimble 9 is the same longer, lower, slacker geometry as the standard Nimble 9. It's built around a 150 fork. And yeah, the only real difference is that the tie frame is made of tie, and that means it's a little bit lighter. So 680 grams or 1.5 pounds. So yeah, it's a fair bit lighter. If you want to create your own tie Nimble 9 build, frame only options start from £2,600 or $3,199 US, whereas full builds start from $4,450 or $5,599 US. The bearing brand Ceramic Speed have brought out an all-new tool, and it's designed to make light work of removing crank bolts. Okay, yeah, you might think that removing crank bolts might not seem a big deal, but for some crank sets, they need to be torqued up really, really high. And some of them, yeah, the torque specking from factory is very high, and it means that it can be really tricky to get them off. Really tricky, like I've struggled. But this is where the Ceramic Speed crank bolt removal tool enters the game. Yeah, we saw it on the very excellent Toolbox Wars Instagram account, and they posted of like how useful the tool is in the wild, and demonstrating how well it works. And okay, it's not necessary, and yes, many home mechanics will just use sort of a hex bolt with a really big breaker bar, and that can do similar. But for mechanics who are doing stuff really frequently, this will be a time saver, and I've got to say, it does look really, really cool. Of course, it is Ceramic Speed, so it isn't cheap. So it's yours for €225. But it does look really nicely made, and it looks like it's excellent quality. So let us know in the comments if you need one or want one. At this time of year, in our part of the world, bearings become, well, a problem area on bikes because we've got more rain and more dirt and more mud. And that means, well, just more washing. And yeah, even really high quality bearings can start to suffer. And Kogel have developed a new proprietary CR ceramic bearing, CR being short for corrosion resistant. They already offer bearings with different seals depending on whether you ride in the wet or in dry conditions, because if you've got more seal, it can affect how sort of like draggy and slow the bearing is. But to improve performance even further, they've found a way of, well, making sure that the bearing races that their ceramic ball bearings spin on is better. So typically, bearing races are either made of chrome steel or stainless steel. So this is the bit where the balls have contact in the bearing. Chrome steel has great wear life, but the flip side of this is that chrome steel is more susceptible to rust and corrosion. So the opposite side of that is stainless steel, which is pretty much impervious to moisture. So it's perfect if you're looking to minimise corrosion. However, it is softer than chrome steel, so durability becomes more of an issue. It is complicated, but these are bearings. And Kogel say after 2 years of development, they've created the custom stainless steel bearing races that have been specifically treated and hardened so it matches the durability of their original chrome steel bearing races. Still with me? Okay, good. The upgraded CR ceramic bearings are available across their whole product range, including bottom brackets, oversized derailleur cages and pulley wheels. They do come with a bit of a price hike, but in theory, it will work out cheaper in the long run because, well, the bearings should last a lot longer. Lots of details. Penultimately, Fox has teased an updated version of their Speed Frame helmet. The 2025 version has a completely redesigned look, and it looks noticeably different from the previous version. And there's going to be multiple different spec levels on their way too, starting at the Speed Frame, then going up to the Speed Frame Pro, topping out at the Speed Frame RS. All models feature the integrated sunglasses holder and easily adjustable visor. And as you move up the range, there's sort of nice extras to add, including an upgraded MIPS liner, a butter adjuster, and then fidlock buckles. So lots to see, more details in early spring. The iconic mountain bike brand Ritchie, named after, well, Tom Ritchie, who the founder and owner of the business. Yeah, they've been making components since Tom designed early stems. He designed some of the first bull moose ones, the one-piece bar and stems. And for a long, long time, Ritchie WCS was the very top tier of Ritchie's range, often with carbon and pretty much always optimised to perfection by Tom himself. And for the last 30 years, they've been able to use the rainbow stripes on the WCS series. But due to a slightly odd UCI rule change, Ritchie have had to redesign, well, the whole WCS range. It's a pretty big change. Yeah, they've switched from having a rainbow stripe on there because they're allowed to, because they've won lots of world champs and lots of World Cup races, to now having just a grey one. But yeah, good to know that Ritchie is still creating some interesting and high-end mountain bike parts. There you go. That's all the news. Quiz time! Okay, this is one of my favourite parts. And previously we had lots and lots of people who got the quiz right, and I wanted to try and make it a little bit more challenging. So last week's question was, what was the seminal TV series that was also made in P&W? Because we featured some P&W loan bars. Anyway, what was the TV show that was set there, first aired in the 90s? The answer that I was looking for was, that's right, Twin Peaks. And I thought that would be quite challenging because not that many people in the office got it. But unfortunately, yeah, lots of people out there got it right. So well done to all the people on screen now. Shout out to Sepster and Tim, because they always get it right pretty much all the time. So I'm thinking on a similar theme to Twin Peaks, and I'm going to try and make this question really quite hard. A cult US brand made a bike, past tense, they don't sadly make it anymore, and it's named after a character from that TV series. I think this is a real stinker of a question. I'm very proud of it. Should I give you clues? OK, it was a single speed and it was 650B. There you go. Right. Answers in the comments below. OK, this is a great one, and we haven't had one for a little while. This is a wonderful bike cave. So I should preface that if you've got a bike cave or you've got a top mod or anything that you want to share with us, well, the uploader is in the link in the description box below. So use that and you can send us, well, all the stuff that you want to. So this is Sean, and yeah, he sent us this fantastic bike cave, an awesome shed. So he acquired a new shed. He was very lucky, but he's got power to it. It's ply-lined. I mean, he's got so much in there. Have a look at these pictures. He's saying it's a fully functional. I think it's more than fully functional. It's fantastic. It's much more than my own shed at home. He's got heating, he's got internet, he's got a beer fridge, he's got racks for his bikes, he's got loads of storage for tools and spares, and aforementioned power, so that means he can have a phone or tablet in there too. I've got to say, Sean, that is an amazing setup. Very, very good work. And again, if you've got stuff that you want to share with us, you can use that uploader. So if you've got a bike that you want to share with us, or you've got a top mod, or, like Sean, you've got an amazing bike cave, share it with us. We love to see it. OK, comments, which is, I've got to say, my favourite bit. Why? Because, well, I get to chat with all of you, and yeah, I'm kind of sharing some of the highlights here, but I'm in the chat, I'm in the comments down below. So if you've got something to say about this video or any of the videos that we're making here, then join in. And do like and subscribe. It really helps us make good content, hopefully just like this. And with the great comments, we go to Jeff in VA, who is one of the great commenters out there. He's got a question from last week's video, which is, well, we're talking about a new brake standard that might be coming out from SRAM on a similar lines of the UDH. So with that in mind, he says, UDH came out to make the T-type transmission possible. Is this new brake mount about to usher in wireless braking? Is Blake going to be rich? This alludes to the fact that Blake did a, well, quite fascinating wireless brake video. Yeah, Blake's brain is wonderful in the way it works. Will we see wireless brakes? Will this patent be a gateway drug for that? Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, if Blake can build it from kind of RC car parts and bits of scrap metal, then SRAM, with all its engineering power and what they could develop, I mean, it's on the cards, isn't it? Another question here. This is from Chris Allen, 5293, and I'm giggling because I also answered it. He says that all of Danger Home's designs are unrideable POSs. Yeah, anyway, I can see why you might say that, because a lot of them use lots and lots of really trick components. I think his Superlight hardtail has got, well, yeah, wild carbon parts on that do look like they're kind of single use. But Danger Home, well, he does ride, and he rides a lot. So I think it's really easy to kind of misinterpret what Danger Home is doing. And OK, the bike that we showed, which was this kind of Danger Home version of an e-gravel bike, and it had wild steel brazed forks with sort of like extra trusses on them, and then it had like disc brakes that were made of saws, and it is wild, and it's easy to think that this is just a showpiece, but they are genuinely rideable. I had a really good chat to Danger Home at Eurobike about that bike and his Superlight bike, which I think we featured in the Eurobike coverage. And yeah, he does actually sort of like do the maths on making sure that the bike is rideable and rides it a lot. And, you know, I was talking to him about tyres, and he was using a super light tyre, and he said, oh, well, it is light, but there are lighter tyres, but I know I've ridden that one to work on that tyre, and it is rideable. So you might think that, but Danger Home and I would disagree with you. But great to have your comments, great to have your thoughts. Okay, now we're going to move into what we're looking forward to next week, or this week even, and I've messed up. What are we looking forward to this week? Okay, we've got a wonderful compilation of lots of weird and wonderful bikes. That'll be great. And then we've got a video which well, it's happening, but I just can't tell you about it. Can't tell you what it's about. I can tell you it's on Sunday, but the embargo is very strict. But the bike, oh, maybe I've said too much. Tune in, it's really good. Don't forget to join the debate. What are your thoughts on our AliExpress bike? And what are your thoughts about wireless brakes? What are your thoughts on new brake mount standards? Join the debate, join the comments.